Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a truly awful situation, perhaps a sudden financial crisis, a crumbling relationship, or a health scare, and felt that familiar knot of frustration and bitterness tighten in your stomach? It's a natural human response. This desire to push away the uncomfortable, to wish things were different, to lament, "Why me?" We instinctively recoil from pain, from inconvenience, from anything that disrupts our carefully constructed sense of order. We label these moments as bad luck, unfair, or undeserved, and in doing so, we unwittingly surrender a significant part of our power. We become victims of circumstance, rather than architects of our own character. But what if there was another way to meet these challenges? Not just to passively endure them, but to actively, even enthusiastically, welcome them into the fabric of your life. This is the radical wisdom of amor fati, the Stoic call to love your fate. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, spoke of how a mind that has learned to love its fate can make of every impediment a stepping stone. He saw every obstacle, every external event, not as a barrier to be avoided, but as raw material to be worked with, much like a potter shapes clay. Think about a time you faced a significant setback, a project failed, a job was lost, a friendship ended. Your initial reaction was likely dismay. But, with some distance, can you recall any unexpected lessons learned, any hidden strengths revealed, or any new directions that emerged precisely because of that initial disruption? The Stoics understood that life will always throw curvy balls. The wind will blow, sometimes violently. Our task isn't to control the wind, which is impossible, but to learn how to set our sails. Amor fati isn't about liking every single thing that happens, but about recognizing that everything that happens for a reason, and that reason is often to forge a stronger, wiser you. Consider the training of an athlete. No serious athlete ever wishes for an easy practice. They push their limits, embrace the burning muscles, the sweat, the exhaustion, because they understand that this discomfort is precisely what builds strength. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without the heavy weights, muscles atrophy. Without the grueling sprints, speed never improves. Seneca often reminded his students that prosperity hides our weaknesses, while adversity reveals and strengthens our virtues. It's in the crucible of difficulty that we discover how patient, how courageous, how resilient we truly are. The next time you face a difficult email, a frustrating queue, or a challenging conversation, instead of groaning inwardly, try a small experiment. Lean into it. See it as your personal training ground, a chance to practice patience, clarity, or calm under pressure. What might feel like a minor annoyance can become a microscopic gem for your character. This isn't about a forced, naive optimism that ignores pain. Amor fati is a deep, profound acceptance of reality, a recognition that whatever is, and within that isness, there is always opportunity. When a carpenter encounters a knot in a piece of wood, they don't discard the whole plank. They adapt. They work around it, or even incorporate it into the design, letting its unique character become part of the finished piece. Similarly, when life throws a knot in your plans, you have a choice. You can rail against it, wasting energy and inviting despair. Or you can see it as an intrinsic part of the material you've been given, a challenge that forces you to be more creative, more resourceful, more adaptable. The knot might even lead to a stronger, more beautiful outcome than if the wood had been perfectly smooth. Epictetus, the former slave who became a great Stoic teacher, taught that we are not disturbed by things themselves, but by our opinions about things. A flat tire on your commute isn't inherently bad, it's an event. Your judgment of it as bad or ruinous is what causes your distress. If you can reframe it, perhaps as an unexpected moment of quiet reflection or an opportunity to practice your problem-solving skills, its emotional impact shifts. This isn't easy, of course. It requires conscious effort, a consistent turning of the mind away from complaint and towards possibility. It asks you to see the interruption not as an enemy, but as an ingredient, an uninvited, perhaps bitter, but ultimately vital ingredient in the recipe of your life. It's the spice that adds depth, the unexpected flavor that makes the dish memorable. So, how do we cultivate this love of fate? It begins with small, daily practices. When a minor inconvenience arises, a forgotten item, a sudden delay, a spilled drink, pause. Instead of defaulting to frustration, try to observe your reaction without judgment. Then consciously ask yourself, how can I meet this with amor fati? Can you find a silver lining? Can you use it to practice patience, humor, or improvisation? Can you simply accept it as a neutral fact, a piece of the present moment that you can neither change nor escape? This isn't about being passive, it's about being profoundly active in choosing your response. It's about taking ownership of your inner world, regardless of the chaos in the outer one. The true strength of a Stoic isn't found in a life free of trouble, but in a life where trouble is welcomed as a teacher, a sculptor, a necessary part of the grand design. When you embrace amor fati, you stop fighting reality and start dancing with it. Even when the music is discordant, you become unshakable, not because nothing bad ever happens to you, but because you've learned to transform every bad thing into something useful, something that builds you up. So, the next time adversity knocks at your door, don't just open it grudgingly. Greet it as an old friend who has come to show you a new facet of your own strength. And today, when a small frustration inevitably arises, try to greet it with a quiet, knowing smile. See what happens when you decide to love it just for a moment. Embrace every challenge as a vital ingredient, for it is precisely what builds your strength. Thank you for sitting with these words today. If they steadied you, subscribe and return tomorrow. A new reflection waits each morning.